the Irish-Italian Democrat governor of New York, who would change the voting pattern of African Americans throughout the United States for the next 100 years. Alfred Smith was born in 1873 on the Lower East Side of Manhattan to an Italian-American and Civil War veteran father and an Irish-American mother, just as the Brooklyn Bridge was being constructed. He grew up in a time period known as the Gilded Age, when great personal wealth was being created in America, but his family was poor. His father died when he was only 13, forcing him to abandon school and begin work at a fish market to help support the family. That change in life circumstance would put the likable Al Smith on the radar of the Tammany Hall political machine, which controlled Democrat Party politics in New York, and get him his first political job in 1895, the start of a great political career. A great orator, he never forgot his humble beginnings, dedicating his career to identifying with immigrants and the common man as he campaigned to give workers more rights, especially through worker safety laws and protection from economic exploitation. It was while he was investigating the deadliest industrial disaster in New York City history, the Triangle Shirtwaist Fire of 1911, that he began working with Frances Perkins, who would go on to be the first woman to serve in a presidential cabinet and the longest serving Secretary of Labor in U.S. history under Franklin Delano Roosevelt. He would rise through the Democrat Party ranks to become governor of New York in 1918, a position he would be elected to 3 more times. After stepping down during the 1924 Democratic presidential primaries for the good of the party to break a gridlock, the progressive and anti-prohibition Governor Smith tried again in 1928 and won the nomination convincingly. He would get his friend and political ally Franklin Roosevelt to take his place and run for governor of New York that year, an important political step for FDR's career. Unfortunately for Al Smith, being Catholic, anti-prohibition, and a supporter of African American civil rights was too much of a hill for his campaign to overcome in 1928 America. His campaign, however, would leave an indelible mark on American politics. Even though being a Catholic, descended from Catholic immigrants, was held against him by the larger and more established Protestant population due to their suspicions that a Catholic president would be more loyal to the Pope in Rome than the American Constitution, his voter coalition of Catholics, immigrant communities, and women would form the nucleus of the New Deal voter coalition that would sweep Roosevelt to power in 1932. He was also the first Democrat Party presidential aspirant to win a majority of the African American vote, switching them from the traditional Republican voting pattern for the first time in U.S. history in 1928, a shift which has endured for 100 years. Al Smith's support for racial equality and his appointment of African Americans to the civil service and school system in New York was used against him by the Herbert Hoover campaign, who determined that white Southern voters were more important to their campaign, promising the pro-segregation South that they would neither appoint any African Americans to their administration nor allow any anti-lynching law that would seek to stop the acts of violence towards African Americans that occurred regularly in the U.S. at the time. Governor Al Smith's refusal to change his stand on that issue to win votes would earn him the loyal support of the African American community. His groundbreaking campaign also had the distinction of being the first American presidential campaign to have a woman serve as its manager. Belle Moskowitz, the daughter of Jewish immigrants, was also the campaign manager for his first governorship campaign, and her advisory role to Al Smith through the years would have her recognized as the most powerful woman in America at the time. Following his electoral loss in 1928, Al Smith became the president of the corporation put in charge of the construction of the Empire State Building, which began in 1930 and was completed in a record 13 months. Al Smith died of a heart attack in October 1944, just 5 months after his wife died of cancer. Cardinal Francis Spellman, the Archbishop of New York, founded the Al Smith Dinner in 1945 in his honor to raise money for Catholic charities for children's needs, and has since 1960 served as a traditional stop for presidential candidates in election years, with John F. Kennedy and Richard Nixon being the first participants, which is apt, as JFK, of course, would go on to break through that major stumbling block for presidential candidates of Catholic faith in 1960.
I would not have missed the Al Smith dinner for anything in the world. I still remember coming here as a very young guy with my father, Fred. He was a great guy, my father. He was a tough cookie, but he had a very big heart. He was, anytime we'd walk down the street, and you don't see it too much anymore, there'd be people standing with tin cans, and he would always take out $100 and put it in that can. And I always thought it was beautiful. And frankly, I even think more so now it was beautiful, because nowadays you don't see it so much. But I miss him, and we used to come here very religiously.
The Al Smith dinner has provided great comedic moments in the intervening years.
I'm Mayor Adams. Good luck with everything. They went after you. They went after you, Mayor. Yeah, boy, I knew that. 9.5 months ago, I said, he just said something about the administration. He's going to be indicted any moment. And guess what happened? But you're going to win.
But most importantly, it keeps alive the legacy of a great and brave political pioneer, one who was just 4 decades ahead of his time.